up, chicken nuggets? What if, let me hit you with this. What if your favorite restaurant's star chef walked out? Would you go to that restaurant or would you go to the new chef's restaurant? Or do you even know who your chef is? That's kind of what we're talking about in a convoluted metaphor. We're talking about Rick Probstein, and he's starting his own auction site. And I want to kind of give you some thoughts on what's happening. So I'm going to tell you the stats of what's happening. Then I'm going to give you some thoughts on if this is going to work based on previous stuff, previous people that have done this. And also, what are some thoughts we can take as customers on this little endeavor? So we're going to dig into that. Rick Probstein leaving eBay, what it means, and what you should be on the lookout for. So, future Tyler, hit him with that intro, baby, baby. What up, chicken nuggets? So here's what happened. Rick Probstein, he's a longtime power seller on eBay. He's been on there for over 20 years, sold, I think, around 6 million sports collectible items, and he's made probably just shy of $1 billion. Billion with a B. And that's pretty big seller. I'd say that's more than me. But if I round up, as far as I want to, then we're tied. We're tying like the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Jerry Jones is still happy, though. Didn't get an L. So here's what he's doing. Rick Probstein, and you probably bought stuff from him. I've randomly bought stuff from this dude. Not him, but like his company. And, you see his little name on there. I don't know till I buy it as a buyer. But he is launching a new platform called Snype, S-N-Y-P-E. I already saw some memes come out called, they had that logo and they changed it to where it said, was it shill, which I guess he's been accused of being shill bidders, but it's like, I think he does consignment, so you send consignment so people can shill in their own. That's one thing I do like about DC Sports 87. If I see their name when I'm buying it, I know it's another set of eyes to keep focus on the shill bidding. I mean, they ain't near as bad as, what is those people? There's two companies out of China, or two sellers out of China. It's Mazord and then Toll Card World. Those two, they shill bid in every single one of their cards. They pop up on their own site immediately after I get outbid. So unfortunately, they have a lot of Jerry McCains and Jordan Pooles, which is hurtful. Okay, so here's what they're doing at Snype, which is Probstein's new auction house. They are doing fee reductions. So if you're selling through them, it's only a 5% seller fee, which I think eBay is around 13 to 16%, somewhere in there. The new one, Snype, they're going to do 5% if it's under $1,000 sale, 3% if it's over $1,000 sale. Okay. And there's other logistic things that they're doing. So they're also doing it to where, say I'm like a power seller through their site, through their platform. If I sell a bunch, instead of me having to ship out a bunch of individual stuff, I can send it in bulk to them. They sort it and then send it out individually. So it takes some time off of me as a seller through their selling platform. Here's the key thing they're trying to do. They're trying to shift the control. They don't like, apparently, what eBay's been doing, the percent they've been taking, and some of the ways they've been doing business. So they are trying to start their own. They are not the first people to ever do this. Many a company have broken off from a platform to start their own platforms. They're also doing extended bidding, where it's not like, boop, hit zero and it's done, like eBay does on most items. They're doing it to where you bid and it keeps going. Now, you got the name Snype, S-N-Y-P-E. The other thing they do is, yes, you can bid early, you can bid at the last minute, but you can also set in like a Snype bid. So 2 seconds before it ends, it throws up to your max bid, or throws up to your bid, like snipes it, going in, throwing in a higher bid, but then it still goes on like a 10, 15 second, whatever loop. So it's not ending right then when your Snype goes through. So I guess, is it really a Snype, or could you just do the amount? So we actually have a couple examples of people that have done this in the past. Okay, so the first one is Bidtopia. Bidtopia, they were a seller, Warehouse 86 on eBay. It's one of eBay's biggest sellers. They launched something called Bidtopia in response to some of eBay's policy changes that they made. And to be honest, if we look at it, it struggled. It lost some distribution centers. It could not scale. And then eventually it just folded, went offline, okay? And so the lesson we can learn from Bidtopia is the platform plus the logistics scale has to be in cohesive, if you will. If it's not working, that can be brutal and irritating for buyers and for sellers. Okay. The other one we can pull from is YardSeller, YardSeller. They took out one of the vowels. Don't know why they did it. I'll tell you this. Can Ohio take out one of their vowels? You know, Ohio's like 75% vowels. It's excessive, in my opinion. Okay? YardSeller, they were created by actual former eBay executives, and they were positioning themselves as eBay for Facebook. So they were trying to like get into that social commerce. So Facebook Marketplace, what they're doing. They wanted to capture that niche and the community angles. So it's like comments, all the stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention that with Snype, Probstein's new thing, there is a chat feature, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But there's a chat feature under there where people can converse and talk about what has been selling. And I've mentioned that for a long time for eBay. I think it'd be fun to be able to comment under different things. So you could like either warn people that something's not legit or that they have like a misleading description or title. Like that would be great, but then also hearing people make fun of stuff. So that'd be fun. Anyway, YardSeller tried to do this. It did gain some buzz whenever it came out, but it never became a major competitor. Eventually it shut down and pivoted what they were doing. So we have a couple that didn't work. And I'm going to give you some thoughts on why I think stuff like this works or doesn't work and other things that we could take away. So here are some things that we could take away from. The obvious thing that we can see from the way Probstein's setting this up is their platform favors the seller. That is who they are trying to get the sellers to come to them. They're trying to get the sellers there, bring your product to us. And they're hoping that either through community and or the product, like you can only find it through them, or there's just so much of it, or it's for a better rate. They're trying to pull the buyers through the commission fees, the ease of like shipping it to them, and they ship out to individuals. They're trying to ship it to them, like get those get those sellers over there. And then they're hoping, I guess, those buyers follow. So that's what they're trying to do. They're favoring the seller. It's very clear. And that makes sense, though, because you think about it, Probstein's been a seller on eBay. That's his main thing. So all of his frustrations with eBay, all the things that he wants to focus on and correct, he's going to focus on that. And for the success of this company, we have to figure out are the buyers going to go there? Because you can take all the sellers you want over there. Most sellers, especially big sellers, they have to keep selling stuff. And so if people aren't buying there, they're not going to stay there. Okay. Now, granted, if something like, Mascot, the one that like lists through like Whatnot, eBay, through I think Squarespace, maybe Shopify, it lists one card across multiple platforms. If they can get added to that so that is like, it's no extra for me as a seller, I think that could be okay. And it's just easy. Click a little checkbox and go Mascot. Boom, my cards are on there, but they're still on eBay. They're on all these others. And so people could pick and choose their platform and my card still sells no matter what. That could be a huge benefit. I don't know if Probstein's got that, but that's something to keep in mind. But I see where he's clearly seller favored. He's got to get the buyers there though. Because if the buyers don't go, the sellers aren't going to stay there. Unless it's just another thing they check and go Mascot and they sell one thing every, 2 months through that website and that platform. And then honestly, that's just not going to be good for Probstein. They'll probably have to shut down. So second thing, another obvious, they're fragmenting the market. They have a ton of items. They've got a ton of things they sell on eBay. They're giving us one more platform, one more thing to have to keep up with as buyers. I'll give you my breakdown. So 4 places. I'm going to give you 4 places that I buy from. You ready? eBay, obviously. You got eBay, Fanatics Collect, Whatnot, and Pristine Auctions. So those are 4 right there. This is Tyler's process. Yours may be different. eBay's my number 1. I go there almost every day. I go to my saved searches, I refresh, and then I click on ones that I want to look at. So eBay is almost always. I look at my stuff I'm watching, and if it's coming up, I set a timer on my watch, 2 hours and 45 minutes, so I can jump in the last minute and try to snipe it. Copyrighted. I'm just kidding. And so eBay's my number 1 by far. 90%, I say 98% of the cards I buy online are through eBay. All right? Because they have the largest marketplace. Most of the cards I want are on there. Second for me is Fanatics Collect. Sponsored by Fanatics. I'm just kidding. It's not sponsored by anybody. Unsullied with external money. Sports Cards Are Dope podcast. Until external money comes in, then we're going to be sullied. We're going to be more sullied than Monsters, Inc. Nailed it. Okay, Tyler, stay focused. Next is Fanatics Collect. I like Fanatics Collect. It's clean. I always know what it's ending, and I understand their ending process. I've tried Alt. I didn't mention them in this list, but you can throw Alt in there. I've bought stuff on Alt, maybe 1 or 2 cards a year, but it's because their bidding process is like weird. None of them end until they all end. And so I stayed on there trying to buy a Jordan Poole rookie championship tag, and I bid on it. I thought I had it at 3K, and then it didn't know. I like won. Nobody bid. I'm like, sweet, I won. And then I bounced off of it, and then it turns out I lost because it kept doing the bid. Like, it's the dumbest way, in my opinion, to do bids. But I like alt. It's clean, dope-looking platform, but that I don't like because I lost a card I really wanted. And then somebody relisted it for 6K or 7K immediately on there. I was like, cool, double is what I can pay for it if I want it. Thanks, alt. And then let's see what else. Oh, Whatnot. Whatnot's great, and I'll sign on every now and then, but like you have to catch like whenever, like if I sign on randomly, it's based on my schedule. I can't like do my schedule for buying cards around a streamer I like, which is how most streamers are really successful on there. They're consistent and people like tune in for the community side of it and the card side of it. But with my schedule, I can't do that. And so I bounce on whenever I think of it or whenever I like have time. And I'm looking around and I'm like searching to find any cards I like, and it's so random. Like I'll search people's like what's sitting in their store, but also if I go into a live stream, like I'm usually going to buy something that I wasn't really planning on buying because they're not going to, like what are the odds they're going to toss up the specific cards that I want? And so Whatnot's not one that I go to a lot. And then there's Pristine. Pristine I don't go to because the only time I went on there was I was trying to buy some autographed jerseys, and I 100% know they were shill bidded because they ended up being for sale immediately after back at what they were. Like I'm literally bidding on these Moses Moody autographed jerseys, and it's going up. I ended up buying one for like $160. It's a $70 jersey, and I bought it for $150, and I was like, I think I'm good. I'm good. And so I bounced off of it. I go to two, eBay, Fanatics Collect, and I only go to Fanatics Collect once a week, and that's usually around 9 p.m. Central Time on Sunday because that's when it's ending, and it's in the last 30 minutes. And so I think what you're doing, for your buyers, you're making them come up, and I don't know if they have an app or if it's just a website. You're making one more thing that I have to remember to go to, and I have to learn the bidding rules, and I have to go and set reminders, and I have to like go find it. Like, I'm not going to go there. Tyler's not going to go. I'm not in the Tyler's opinion section of the podcast, but I'll go ahead and spoiler alert. I'm not going to go there unless I see like a push notification for a Google search for a Jordan Poole 2019 True Gold Prism that I'm trying to find. Other than that, I'm not going to go there. Like, it's got to have that specific card that I want. You are already fracturing a market. Unless you can tie into Go Mascot, I think they're going to have issues with getting people to come there as buyers. Third thing, these new hybrid models of curation plus community could be huge. And I'm not saying that like, oh, it's going to take off because of that, unless they just do this perfectly. But I could genuinely see other models like eBay or Fanatics Collect adding in these features. So I mentioned earlier, one of the things they're doing is they're adding a chat in there. If Probstein wants this thing to be successful, he needs to bring in voices, creators, you can call them creators, influencers, whatever, streamers. You have to bring people into this community so that their community follows, so then hopefully the cards get sold. The Real 27 guy, he's one of the best in sports. I call him Indiana Jones of the hobby. I'm going to keep doing it until he changes his profile on Instagram. He is one of the best, and he does live streams like when they're doing Fanatics Collect Ending or Heritage or some auction houses that he does collaborations with. He'll do live streams where he's like talking through these auctions and seeing what they're going for and what the ending prices are, and he's given the history of these cards. He is super entertaining, super knowledgeable, and has a community of people that love his voice in this hobby. If they can figure out how to get, like, not just have a chat underneath, that's fun, but it'll lose its novelty. They need to get these creators and influencers, pay them money to come in and create community around these talking points. Have them make videos where they go in and make comments on these things. Like, that's how they're going to have staying power. If they can figure out how to, and people can be like, influencers. I'm not talking about, everybody go buy this Juan Soto rookie card. I'm not saying that kind of influencer. I'm talking about people who have community, who have voices, that people like their personality, and then that community comes in and gets to hear that voice in through that medium. I think they could do some really cool stuff there, or eBay could steal it and start using it. I mean, you think of proof of concept, breaker rooms have this all the time. People go into breaker rooms and don't buy a card. They'll go in there because they want to hang out with that breaker. They want to go in and hang out with Mike Giuseppe of Sports Cars Nonsense and have him read their comment out loud. Whereas when they listen to his podcast, they can't have comments out loud because it's just Mike and Jesse talking. This way, they can interact with their favorite creators, their favorite voices in the hobby. They can ask them questions. They can give their thoughts. Or they can just joke around and say, what's up, Mike? What's up, Mike? Jordan Poole for life. That's what I do. And so whenever they are opening that realm of voices around these auctions. I think that is huge. However, are they going to do it the right way? Because usually whenever stuff like this happens, these features pop up, it's not always the first one to do it that is the most successful. It reminds me of, y'all remember Snapchat stories? Like, I remember I was a principal and I did Snapchat stories. Every morning I'd be driving to school and I would have, I would play Childish Gambino song. I think it was Sweatpants. And it was the first like 10 seconds of the song before it gets into the cussing. And I would lip sync that on my stories because I thought stories were dope. Disappears after 24 hours. I used to do my announcements for our school on our school's Snapchat because we could do stories and then the announcements disappear after 24 hours, new announcements. And that's where all the students were anyways. So I would just go on there. Spoiler alert, if you're an administrator at a school, never check the direct messages. That's what we never did. If I did, I was next to the other principal at the other high school, and I would say, hey, will you sit with me? The student just sent me this DM to our school's account. Will you sit with me and watch this together so that we can report it if it's inappropriate? And it turns out they were just asking a question about an assignment that they had. So it was fine. But I just don't check those. I just post the stories, and it's more output than back and forth. You didn't ask for all that information, but I gave it to you free of charge. And so sorry, Tyler, get back to the focus. So Snapchat had those stories. That was an awesome feature. It was a great idea. And then Instagram or Meta, whoever, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, tried to buy Snapchat for like $50 billion. Snapchat said, no, we're not selling. And so what did Mark do? Oh, Mark stole that feature and stuck it on Instagram. And that's where most people are. They're on Instagram stories, not Snapchat stories, all right? Unless you're of a certain demographic. So whenever these companies pop up or these companies are already up and they add a feature, almost every other company is going to steal that if it's good. So it's kind of cool. If this chat thing works for Probstein, I would be very eyes open if eBay steals that, because I think they will. I think it's been something a lot of people wanted for a long time because we've wanted each other's opinions and thoughts on cards. Like, am I getting ripped off or is this too high? And they can go in and curate it. And honestly, as a seller, I'm okay with that because I've listed stuff where I'm like, ooh, I was a little off or I messed up or whatever. It would be great instead of having to check the DMs to do that. And the last thing, and this is the most important thing, are they going to bring customers with them because of who they are? Are they going to? It's the toughest challenge in building a new platform or a new channel or anything like that. Like, I have an education channel. I've a couple times mentioned that I have sports cards here. Does that audience transfer? I know that's not as like oh, a lot of my 8th grade algebra teacher is not collecting sports cards. I get that. But it's like I have people there. Will they translate? Even here, I have short videos. Anytime I post a short, it goes across, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Almost every time I post a short, and this is not braggy, it's just what it is. I guess I wish it was better. But I get anywhere from like 2,000 to 10,000 total views, almost always per short. I don't get that per podcast. Is it because it's long form? Maybe. Have I pushed the podcast on there? Not really. I'll post clips of it with like the Sports Cards Are Dope podcast label at the top, try to make it subtle. But that's my thing. Like, it doesn't always mean people are going to come over and that's barely changing the platform. It's YouTube shorts to long YouTube videos. How do I translate those two? You're taking somebody from a website completely other, like get in your car, drive down the road, get out of your car, go into the building. That's what you're trying to get people to do. Will they translate? I don't think, to my knowledge, unless Probstein is just really good, I've never noticed a difference with buying cards through Probstein than any other eBay seller, unless somebody's terrible. Like, they do what they ask, which is ship the cards that I purchase. It's always based on the card. Unless they get sellers who have cards that I can't get somewhere else, I don't see myself spending the time, effort, and energy to remember my login and my password and forgot password. I don't want to do that. They have to figure out how to get people to shift loyalties, and it's got to be through either creators, influencers, whatever, people that have a voice in the community, and then giving them a voice on your platform, or take the cards people want to buy and put them over there. That's how you get people there. Are they going to fix all eBay's problems? Not really. Probably not. They're going to have their own problems. They're going to pop up. We saw it from those people that have tried to do it before. Shipping delays, bulk stuff, turnaround time. Like, we'll see, because here's me as a buyer. If I buy something from a seller and they've, sold a bunch and they send it off to Probstein and then Probstein, and that's more time for me to get my cards. Like, that's not really what I want. That's not really what I want. So, Tyler's opinion. This is Tyler's opinion part of the pod. Tyler's opinion. Probably need like a little transition. We're not there yet, people. I just told you we ain't there yet. But Tyler's opinion. This reminds me of 2014. Transport your brain back to 2014, 11 years ago. There was a TV show that I liked called Community. And they had gotten canceled from a couple different places where they were running, and they had finished 5 seasons. Then they got picked up for a 6th season. If you've ever seen Community, one of the big jokes from it is 6 seasons in a movie. They want to get 6 seasons, they want a movie. So they were stuck at 5 seasons because they got canceled, and they needed that 6th season. And then a streaming platform wanted to start competing with Netflix and HBO and all these other streaming platforms, Hulu and all these other streaming platforms. And it was a company you might remember from the early 2000s, from your searches, or maybe from your fantasy football league, called Yahoo. Don't do it, Tyler. Okay, Yahoo. And so Yahoo developed something called Yahoo Screen. It was their streaming platform. Does anybody remember that in the chat, in the comments? Do you remember Yahoo Screen? Did anybody ever download that thing? I did. You know why? One reason I downloaded Yahoo Screen was because I wanted to watch season 6 of Community. I wanted to watch it because I loved that show. I wanted to see the next part of that story. And that's the only place you could watch it. So I remember laying in bed, my wife's asleep, and I roll over and I'm watching on my phone, and I'm watching Yahoo Screen on their little app because that's the only place you could watch it. And I'll be honest, it was absolute hot dumpster garbage. I'm sitting here, not the show. The show was great. I'm watching the show, which they produced, they paid for because they're trying to get people there. I'm watching the show, and then every time like it lagged or didn't load or it got stuck, I'd have to clear it out, go back in, and it didn't remember where I was. Then I have to scrub to the part where I was and wait on it to load. Like, it was absolutely terrible. There were like 2 or 3 really terrible things that made it super inconvenient for me as the end user. However, I stuck it out, finished that season of Community, and never once signed back into Yahoo Screen. Fast forward 2 years later, Yahoo shuts down Yahoo Screen in 2016. It did not last. Moral of the story: in creating a new business, unless you can continue to have a product that they can't get anywhere else, or you create an experience that is so wonderful and fun and enjoyable and seamless for your end user, people aren't going to remember and stick around. They have their habits. They don't want to go and build their new habits on there unless you make it worth it. So, do I think this is going to stick around? I understand he's frustrated. I understand they're seeing their bottom line on their spreadsheets of the money they're losing by having to pay those fees to eBay or whatever it is that's bothering them. And they think by fixing those fees with other sellers is going to fix the problem. Unless you make that experience absolutely magical, like Mario bouncing a Koopa out of the cloud and then riding the cloud to the end of the level, unless you make it that cloud level of ease, you're not going to see people stick around. They might go there because somebody's pushing me there because they had a card and I saw it on their social and I want to go buy that card. And then when that card's gone, they're not going to remember to go back and build those habits unless you build an experience that is so wonderful. They like it so much more. The other experiences are irritating and convoluted and confusing and just have too many steps for them to want to step through. So those are my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to know. Thought this was going to be a 9-minute episode. It's 23 minutes. And that's on me, fam. I'll take that L. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. I appreciate you guys. If you would, rate it. That would be cool. That super helps. If not, that's okay. I'm just glad you're here. Look at us. We made it to the end. Like, subscribe. Don't talk like that, Tyler. Y'all be good. Stay sweet. And never stop collecting. Sports cards are dope. So are you. And so are you.